Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I am Mike Hodum, and today I am joined by two dear colleagues. First of all, Patrick Heinrich. Patrick, hello.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hi, Patrick. Nice to have you. And Jeremy Forbes is also joining us. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
The Merry Trio is back together again.
That's right. The three amigos. Yeah. But let's start with some latest transfer news. Patrick, we spoke on Monday, and I stupidly predicted that we would get another deal over the line quickly.
And I seconded it.
We really should know better, shouldn't we?
Probably.
But I thought Upamecano, that those rumors, I thought they were well founded. I thought we might potentially go in for him. That seems to have dried up. The Thiago rumors are still out there. I'm still skeptical whether or not we are actually interested in him, or if our name's just being used. One player that has come in frequent news this week, at least in the tabloids, so take it with a grain of salt, is left back from Real Madrid, Sergio Reguilon. He played for Sevilla against us. He was on loan at Sevilla this past year. He played for them in our semifinal of the Europa League. And apparently we're in for him. He's a left back, Patrick. And do you think that's a position we should be targeting?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Ole went into that game and saw Reguilon play and was like, I think we need that on our squad. And I think with Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams, I think we have an interesting pair that I think is a bit uncertain, and I think Ole kind of sees that. You have Shaw, who's out in injury a lot, and you have Brandon Williams, who either sometimes he has a really good game, sometimes he has a great game, sometimes he can't keep pace with the game, and sometimes he makes really large errors. And I think that by going after Reguilon, I think that's a good idea to help bolster the left back side. And then if you have Reguilon, Shaw, and Williams on the left back, and then you have Wan-Bissaka and Fosu-Mensah and Dalot on the other side, you kind of have a 3-and-3 pair.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, Luke Shaw's injuries are a concern, and like you said, Brandon Williams is hit or miss, and that's a young player for you.
Yeah, exactly. You need some middle experience, and I think Reguilon is a great defensive player.
Okay, that's fair enough. He is 23 years old. Like I said, he's on the books at Real Madrid. And Patrick, before I come to you, Jeremy, I just want to bring this up and bring it to let Patrick know what his thoughts are. But Real Madrid reportedly want around 27 million pounds is what I read. And the issue is they want to put in a buyback clause. And supposedly Ed Woodward does not like that at all. He's willing to give him a sell-on fee or sell-on clause, but a percentage. But, yeah, he doesn't like the buyback clause. What do you make of that in the deal? Is that a deal breaker?
I mean, I think buyback clauses are silly to begin with. I mean, they're just a way of really large clubs to kind of bully talent within all of the other clubs. And so if they, Real Madrid is essentially saying, we want to get rid of this guy, but we don't want to lose out in the end if suddenly he becomes great, which I think is ridiculous because if you're going to do that, just have him go out on loan. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's silly that they would ask for, I think buyback clauses in general are silly, but I do think it's a deal breaker to add that in there, especially with the price point, especially with, and, like I said, as great as it would be to have a third left back, we don't necessarily need it. We're not dying for it at the moment. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Shaw is going to be back in shape.
Yes, we are. That's ridiculous. Yes, we are. You just debunked your whole theory by saying exactly what you said in regards to both Shaw and Williams. We need another left back. That's ridiculous.
Well, we have Fosu-Mensah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but that's not enough.
All right, Jeremy. Okay. But buyback clause, I agree with you, Patrick. To me, it's just a glorified loan deal. And it doesn't put us in a good position, I don't think.
No, it really
short term or long term. I mean, he could play 2 pretty good years for us. He's 20, then he'll be 25, and Real Madrid are going to come in and activate that buyback clause when this pandemic's over and their financial picture looks better. Jeremy, you kind of answered the first question I asked Patrick, but elaborate.
In regards to the whole question as a whole, is it a deal that is ideal? No, it's not ideal. Of course, it's not ideal. But is it a deal that you should potentially take if you're complaining so much about not having money to spend on players and wanting to bring other players in that are going to be high priced and will affect how much money you can actually spend out this season? Then yes. I mean, it could be a deal that you just take, not because it's holistically the best deal out there, but you need that depth in your squad, especially if you say you're trying to make a push and for this season to potentially, go in Champions League to get past the group stage. I'm sorry, you do the deal. Like you're bemoaning that you don't have enough money to get players. This is not an ideal deal for the future, but we're not worried about the future right now. We need to do some deals for this season, potentially next season. And then if you have to do one deal that's not actually ideally in your favor, you do that if all the other ones are actually in your favor.
So if Real Madrid are going to so Ed Woodward, say you're Ed Woodward, I've always wanted to use that metaphor with you, Jeremy. Pretend you're Ed Woodward and you go to the Bernabeu and you say, what do you want? And they say 27 million pounds, which I don't think is unreasonable. But we also want a buyback clause. And Ed Woodward says, no, we don't want a buyback clause. If Real Madrid said, okay, no deal, and are not willing to think outside the box for other clauses like a percentage from a potential sell-on fee, or maybe even first refusal if another club comes in wanting to buy the player and we go to them, which I believe we have with Memphis Depay at Lyon. If another club comes in wanting to buy the player, they have to contact us and say, hey, they're going to give us this fee. Do you want to match it? And we'll give you the player. So there are other options there. So if they're not willing to look at those other options and they're just willing to stick with the buyback clause, are you going to so you're saying you still take the deal?
I would take the deal, but not until later on down towards the end of the transfer season if we haven't been able to properly secure other players. I would definitely take the deal.
Okay, because I was confused. I thought you, and that's just me. I thought you were very convinced on the player and that you really wanted him to push for football for our title aspirations this season. But you're saying that go back there because the window's still open another month. You're saying look at other potential targets and then go back.
I'm saying yes. I'm saying look at other potential targets. Almost play hardball with them to say that you're not going to do it. But then if you don't find any other potential targets, be willing to accept that as a deal. If you go back to them and that's the deal they still have on the table.
Yeah, but if you go back to them.
Long story short is this. We're talking about adding depth to our team. Forget which club's going to benefit the most out of a deal. I think that's the problem. We're currently in a state where we don't want all the other teams to have a better outcome of the deal. Like we want to make sure that Man United has the best outcome of any deal that is made. That's actually just not going to work in this market if you're actually trying to do deals. So sometimes you're not going to be the main one that benefited in regards to, say, the fee that you actually wanted. That is also if you're trying to build a squad, which we definitely need depth. We've seen that against the game with Sevilla. We need depth, long story short.
Okay.
So you get that depth the way you can.
Yeah. Patrick, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that if you wait too long to do the deal and you come back to the table, then they're just going to up the price and increase their terms because they know you're desperate. So if you make the deal, you should make the deal now. You shouldn't wait.
Not exactly, because if they really want the buyback clause, then you're going to say you can't up the price. If you want to up the price, then you can't have a buyback clause. You can have one or you can have the other.
Yeah, but then we don't get the player. I mean, that's the point. If we're come back to them later on, we don't get the player if they don't have terms that are agreeable to them.
That's a
Right
good
now, you're
point.
saying it's not agreeable to you.
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree that if we're going to try and increase our depth, we should just sign the player. I mean, we should just do it. If we're going to do it, we should just do it, not wait.
Yeah, I mean, you both have good points, and I mean, I don't like the buyback clause at all. I'm not gonna, especially with Real Madrid. And I know your point, Jeremy, about us seemingly to wanting to do deals that are just beneficial to us and not to anybody else. And I think that's a very astute observation. And that's probably how they see the Van de Beek deal. That it was beneficial to us and not necessarily beneficial to Ajax. I think it was both ways. I think Ajax got a good fee, didn't gouge us or anything like that, and we got a good player in return. But yeah, I think that is a good observation. But at the same time, I just really do not want Real Madrid having a buyback clause hanging over any of our players. I think that's dangerous, and I realize we want to bring in players now. We want to attack the Premier League this season, but that's a tough one for me to really deal with. If Ed Woodward's hung up on that, I actually have to back Ed Woodward on this because I'm hung up on that too. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna even do like what you suggested, Jeremy, and go back a month from now at the end of the window and say, okay, we'll accept the buyback clause, because that's just I don't want that hanging over the club's head, because if the player's successful, then he's going to go, and if the player's unsuccessful, well, then we got to find out some way to recoup some of that money. That's my opinion. But Jeremy, I want to stick with you because I want to move to another big. What's that? Oh, sorry. I thought one of you said something. But I want to move to another big.
What I was saying is this.
Okay, go ahead.
I think where it comes down to is, sadly to say, because we have done so terribly in the market, few years ago, let's say three to 4 years ago, I think because we did such terrible business in those markets, which I actually do blame on Ed Woodward, and not really say our coaches per se. I do blame that more on the inexperience of Ed Woodward in this capacity. Because of that, they've almost gone to the other. They're trying to go to the other extreme, where they say, okay, we're definitely not doing any deals because all of our deals before benefited the other clubs more than it benefited us. We're not doing any deals this season that doesn't benefit us more than the other club, and that's a dangerous game to play, to go from one extreme to the other. Because if you go from one extreme to the other, you could be missing out on great talent just because you're salty about when you spent way more money than you could have on talent that wasn't going to work.
And that's fair, and that could be the case with the Sancho deal potentially. Definitely a good observation. But I did want to bring up another player who was rumored to be potentially coming to Old Trafford. And if you're new to the channel, or if you don't know, Jeremy is a huge Lionel Messi fan. He thinks he's the best player in the world.
Stop.
Loves him.
Stop. Oh my God, I hate him so much.
Okay, well today,
and the thing is my sister loves him, and I can't disown her, but I would.
Good for Andrea. He came out today in a press conference and said that he is willing to stay at Barcelona and that he does not want to pursue a legal battle with the club. He said other stuff like he feels betrayed and that he took shots at the current president of the club and whatnot. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing Messi in a United shirt in 2020. What about the potential of 2021, Jeremy?
Thank heavens.
So next summer?
No, please no. I think all in all, I think this was what was going to happen no matter what. Whether the president left right now, like he wanted him to, or whether he's going to leave soon after, I think this was always going to be the case. That Messi has been, in my opinion, these last few seasons, part of the problem with the club, and it has been destroying the club from the inside with his actions of being a spoiled little brat. And instead of him helping the club to get over the hump that they were in, sadly, because of holding on to old players and the lure of old players when the game is actually passing them by, and they're becoming too slow and they can't keep up. I think what he was doing was he was not trying to work with the club. He was just wanting to be a spoiled brat and say about all the things that he didn't like. And that's not going to help anything get better. You're just talking about all the stuff you don't like.
No, that's a great point. That doesn't help anything. Patrick, what'd you make of this whole saga now that it appears to be coming to a close with no change?
I agree with Jeremy. I mean, I don't think that was ever going to be the case. I don't think he was ever going to leave. I mean, I think for the next, 2 years, we're going to be having the same conversation every transfer window of now, is Messi going to leave? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go somewhere else? I think it's just bananas to think that he's actually going to leave, considering the costs associated with him leaving and, just everything in general. I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
I think the only way he would actually leave is if Man City is able to get him next year within that 10-day window after the Champions League final. If they can get him without paying a fee to Barcelona, it will happen. But that's the only place he's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that would solve his legal battle issue. But he has to do it within that 10-day window. He can't be trying to have one foot in the door and one foot out. He just has to bite the bullet and do it.
I've actually – I don't know when his contract actually ends, to be honest, right now. I did hear some reports said that it ends actually next year or next summer, and then I've heard other reports saying that there's 2 years left. So I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure that thing's kept pretty deep under wraps, but I'm not actually sure how this is going to play out in the future. And I don't even know when the next election is. Supposedly it's in the next year for the next president for Barcelona, but I don't know when exactly that's supposed to take place. It'll be interesting. I said the saga's coming to an end, but it's far from it. He's just agreed to come back to training pretty much and not go to court over it. Now, a suggestion I had when the three of us were together not too long ago was if we signed Van de Beek, and we have done now, and if we signed Thiago from Bayern, and there are rumors out there, although I think they're unfounded, that we're interested, that you could potentially see Scott McTominay be looked at as a center back. He did play there a few times this season in a pinch for us, not starting matches, but towards the end when subs were used. So he has a little bit of experience there. Interesting because today Scotland, his country, played Israel in the UEFA Nations League, and Steve Clark, his manager, installed him as a right-sided center back in a back three. I got off of work. I had a little time before I started my studies, so I was like, oh, check it out. There was like 20 minutes left in the match. As soon as I turn it on, I see Scott McTominay out of position, and a big Israel striker, big star in Israel, a good friend of the channel, Elon Renai, shout out to him. Big fan of Aaron Zahavi, who scored Israel's equalizer for Scotland, but he got on the wrong side of McTominay, and like the old Roy Keane adage, McTominay couldn't move those 2 yards to be in the right position to shut down the attack. So we got the equalizer. The game finished 1-1. I turned the game off soon thereafter. Perhaps my idea was ill-founded, but I'm just revisiting it with you guys. Jeremy, you didn't like my idea at the time.
I didn't like it at the time, and I still don't like it.
You didn't see the game today, but you don't need to see the game to know that you still don't like it.
No, I didn't need to see the game or hear you tell me that he was the cause of the equalizer. I still don't like it.
Well, to be fair to Israel, it was a well-worked goal, and then Zahavi had a nice strike into the top corner, top shelf to equalize. So it was a well-worked goal, but you watch the replay, you could see McTominay could have done a lot better with his positioning in the first place. So that was disappointing.
I like him. I like him as a player, but I actually think that for us, he does better in midfield, and I would actually more prefer him in attacking midfield kind of role instead of a defensive midfield kind of role. Now, where does that put him at our club in that position going forward? Probably not a lot of chances and a lot of opportunities, but you could use him in that role for League Cup matches, that kind of thing. Days when both of our stars need a rest. But that's what I like about him. I like him more in that role. And he was doing that and scoring goals for us because he has a brilliant strike and a good work rate. I just don't really see him as much in more of the defensive role, even though his good work rate will give him the ability to go back when he is been more forward.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because he has scored good goals for us from the midfield, and we haven't yet really seen him play as in an advanced role. He scored those goals more in a deep lying role alongside Fred or Modic. So Patrick, what are your thoughts? McTominay center back, or like what Jeremy said, maybe further forward? Although, like he also said, those opportunities might be few and far between at this point.
Yeah. No, so when we brought it up last time, I was actually kind of like digging this idea and liking McTominay as a center back. One, because I thought he was enough aggressive that it would make a pretty good center back. I know he's not beefy enough, but I will say, one, I'm glad that experiment is over. Two, I'm glad that Manchester United didn't participate in that experiment. And three, now we can be done with that. I think we're okay. But I don't think that I don't think, whether or not he would be in a good position in the attacking midfield, I don't think there's a place. Especially with Van de Beek now a part of everything, I don't think that he has a place. But it'd be interesting to see. Again, it's interesting just, talking about McTominay in all of the roles that he could be playing when we should be saying, like, why isn't he just a really good midfielder?
Fair enough. I would caution against myself and everyone out there to not judge a player based upon one half mistake in a game that led to a goal. But maybe my idea wasn't the greatest, but maybe there's still something there. Who knows? But that's really all we got for you today. The curtain's now closing on the theater of football. I'd like to thank Jeremy and Patrick for joining us. Please let us know your thoughts on what we discussed today on Twitter at Theater of Football. And for Jeremy and Patrick, I'm Mike. Have a great day.
Cheers, everyone.
It was good to be with you guys again. Bye.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.